I want to invite in Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union. First time, come on over, put your
Jeff.
foot right there.
On the red dot.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thanks so
having me.
much. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here. This is kind of cool. I haven't been down here yet, and the studio's great.
Yeah, we get waves in and we get all sorts of things. The governor was on one time and the Yellow Jackets clean up around here stopped and they're waving at her and she's waving back at them and
Nice.
all sorts of stuff. So
Nice. I'm looking over there. One of my favorite restaurants, Rogues Island. It's pretty nice.
Rogues Island. Oh, I thought you were going to say Tommy's Place.
I like Tommy. I kind of like Tommy's place.
I
too.
did have a burger from there last week and it was quite good.
Quite good?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Since
Nice.
Eddie's is gone, I've been searching for a good burger. So
Well, there's a Dunkin' Donuts on the corner.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, you can always get an egg and cheese on a bagel.
So Navigant, it's exciting times at Navigant. You've come a long way since the basement.
Come a long way, baby, since the basement of 639 Broad Street, I think it is.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
basement of Notre Dame Parish in Central Falls. That's where we started a long time ago. 100 years, 102.
102 years. And
Yeah,
you
it's
were
great.
there right from the very beginning.
I've been
Right?
there. Some days I feel like I was there from the beginning. There's no doubt about it. But it's a special place. Started by a bunch of immigrants.
Yeah.
Some folks that had immigrated from Canada to work in the mills
Yeah.
down in Central Falls and Pawtucket. They really weren't getting served from the traditional banking experience that they had, and there was this new concept in the world called cooperative financial institutions,
Right.
or credit unions as they became known in the U.S. And back in 1915, a group of parishioners and some of the clergy and some of the local business people formed this little institution called, and I'm going to try to do this, La Credit Union de Notre Dame de Central Falls. Not bad?
Yeah,
Right,
very
so,
good.
That was started back on May 29th, 1915, and from $22,000 of pooled assets, we've reached 1.8 billion this year.
Nice, well done.
So it's been a kind of a stellar rise, and with a great team effort, we have a lot of great people working for us, and some fantastic members who've put their trust in us.
And you've really become the dominant financial institution in Northern Rhode Island. I mean, no choice about it.
Thanks. I think we've tried to do our part.
Yeah.
It's beyond just lending money to folks. It's beyond providing a checking account. It's trying to help them understand and navigate their finances.
Yeah.
It's a tricky subject.
Right.
I mean, for me, I'm not an expert at it some days, but
We just had a child at it graduating from college, so you'll get
Oh,
better at it
No,
now that those payments are
two
done.
down, one to go. I
Two
still
down,
have one to go. But you learn a lot real fast when you start sending kids to school. We have a full line of banking products that we try to help people understand what's right for them, and try and help if they have businesses. We're certainly there for their businesses too. We have a full line of
And that's been a
products.
big growth area on
Huge.
the commercial side.
Huge, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to partner with Mark Haywood and the folks over at the SBA.
Yeah,
Do a lot of SBA type lending.
yeah.
So, trying to provide capital to businesses so that they can get out there and generate economic development for the state, because we're all in the state and it's all about that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to see, I think you filled the hole, if you go back 20 years ago, you had fleet and you had industrial and you had citizens over here and you had Old Stone across the river and, you had a lot of local owned
Yep.
significant financial institutions. And now you're one of the big boys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Washington Trust.
Yeah, Washington Trust, Pawtucket,
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
Peoples,
Yeah.
Greenwood. There's a real important place for a community bank, community credit union, in the market. And Rhode Island's only 1 million people, so everybody says so. It's really crowded. It's a crowded space, but the Bank of Americas and the bigger players, the Citizens and stuff, there's a place for them as well.
Yeah.
There's a market that they occupy. I like to think that Navigant occupies. It's not a blue collar because
Yeah.
we have lots of people across the spectrum who do business with us, but it's an easy to understand, easy to get to know people
Right.
relationship, right? Every one of our branches, all 15 of them, are staffed with, I think, the greatest folks who are trained to do a nice job at supporting you and understanding who you are and who your needs are. And when you walk, I have a neighbor across the street. Now, this guy was in technology,
Yeah.
and he worked as a computer salesman. And he tells me every Saturday morning he goes to the credit union. I'm like, why do you go in? You're like a tech guy. He says, well, because I like the people there. They know who I am. They call me by name. I'm like, okay, if that's
It's
the
one
way
of
we
those
do
few
business.
relationships you can actually have
That's exactly
nowadays, and that's the big growth opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
people want to connect with somebody they can trust, somebody they can build around, and develop that kind of old school financial relationship.
I think 2008 really shook people to the core. I
Yeah.
think they realized at that point that having somebody to talk to
Yeah,
is as important as all the whistles and bells that go
Yeah.
with it. And we have all the whistles and bells, but we try to have the people to talk to.
so talk about your 15?
15 branches, yep, pretty much East Bay running up through Northern Rhode
And then what's the plan? Will we see?
I think you'll see a little more growth.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the books that I'm aware of right now
Yeah.
at the moment, but I do know that there's always active, looking for market opportunities for us. We've had this sort of a contiguous branching strategy where we just
Yeah.
move to the next town. It's just easier to, we've already got a relationship established in a lot of those.
I don't mean to diss anyone,
Yeah.
but I always remember the day driving for the first time in Bristol and seeing a Coventry Credit Union.
Yeah.
Just going, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. The whole concept of a name was a challenge for us. I don't know if you
Right.
remember.
Oh, yeah.
We started off as Central Falls.
I
Credit
had
Union.
a mortgage with you.
Did you?
once
So
upon a
you
time.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It was a challenge to get our directors to kind of look at the big picture. We had gotten to about 5 branches, 5 locations, and in that really sort of Central Falls, Pawtucket, Cumberland, Lincoln area.
Yeah.
And if we felt like we wanted to grow, then you really had to, unfortunately, divest yourself of the Central Falls city.
Yeah.
Not that it's anything bad with it, but it's
Right.
regional.
Yeah.
And
And
we
it's
took.
and it's the smallest town in the state, and it's
Yeah.
1 mile by 1 mile.
At 1 mile by 1 mile, and
Right.
believe me, it's still home, and
Right.
we are forever grateful to Central Falls. So when we talked about names and how we were going to do it, it was a risk, and it was a challenge for us to kind of let go. But we went through the process, picked a new name, and somebody asked me recently if we thought that was a successful risk that we took, and we were. After 92 years as Credit Union Central Falls, we were $100 million, $1 billion in assets. I think that's
Yeah.
where we ended up when we were around that point. And in the 10 years since we've changed the name, we've almost doubled the size.
Yeah.
So we were able to kind of grow out into these suburban communities. So from a branching strategy,
Seemed to work okay.
seems to work okay.
Right,
We're okay with that.
right.
Nobody's complaining.
And
I
you
don't
did,
think-
and it was not all one at Twin River, correct?
No, it's not all on that Twin River. That is not our investment strategy
Yeah, great.
at all.
Great. So, in today's era with big financial institutions and, a customer experience of pressing button after button on the phone, trying to find a live human being, is that really the point of differentiation? I mean, you've gotten to a point from being a multi-billion-dollar financial institution. Is that really the opportunity to connect with people just on functionally on a different level? Saul Kaplan's going to come in.
Yeah.
He's up next on Mondays, and we talk about innovation, and we talk about those trade-offs
Yeah.
of, while you're perfecting innovation, you've got to keep that touch and feel of quality and personal touch and connection.
We've had spirited discussions about taking that whole answering the phone from the very first time with a human being
Yeah.
to listen.
I vote aye.
I know. You know what? The reality of the situation is you have a limited number of resources and you have a lot of phone calls coming in, and the bigger you get, the more phone calls you get.
Right.
So you have to, at some point, introduce that sort of technology.
Yeah.
But we've certainly tried to keep that as, press 3 for, customer service. Tell me what your loan is. This is, hey, listen, just wait for a rep. We'll be with you in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we try and wrap those, get to those calls within I think like 60 seconds. Something like
We were working on a story here last week, trying to reach a good-sized company, but not a mega giant, and they have an office in Rhode Island. You literally could not get through to a human being. Chatted with them, live chat, email, and by the way, the question was to their benefit. I mean, this was not like we were trying to find out where they had absconded with the money. This
Yeah.
was a story that was to their benefit, and you just couldn't get to anybody. And
Yeah.
I think
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
And we get it. We know that. It's not like we're trying to ignore those issues. And
Right.
You know what? If in the middle of the winter when there's 4 people in the call center sick,
Right.
your call center is limited number. Now your call wait times are a little bit longer, right?
They don't forward over to you?
They could. I was on a show once with Gary, our CEO, and he actually gave his personal desk number out on the phone. I almost passed out. I almost had a heart attack. And when he got back to the office, somebody called him.
Oh yeah.
And said, "I just wanted to make sure that you were actually there." I swear to God, it was so funny. But you know, the technology is great. Technology helps us deliver services the way people want them to be delivered. Online, this whole experience, which is fantastic. But you can walk in and get a passbook account at the credit union. I mean, if you want to go old school.
Do you have passbooks?
We have passbooks now. My boss will be happy that I said that. You're welcome, Gary. However, everybody else
is that
in the
a
branch,
growth sector?
Probably not a growth sector. Everybody else is about to hang me when I get back to the office. But you know, it's just the point is that we try to provide whatever our consumers are looking for.
Yeah.
And that can mean, you know, we just introduced a new technology in our Smithfield branch, which we're piloting there, called palm vein technology. So when you walk into a branch, you put your hand over the reader. It'll read the blood vessels in your hand, and then it will automatically pop all your customer information up on the screens for the MSRs. So they will be in the teller, so they'll be able to get to you like that now. And they don't have to wait, and it's fantastic.
That's unbelievable.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So talk about a lot of debate right now where, bizarrely, as you know, we cover a lot of politics. And the election cycle's already on. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like, we now live in a world in which the election's never over.
Never over.
And there's big debate about the Rhode Island economy. I want to get your sense of what are you seeing as a leading financial institution about sort of the velocity of the economy? Are you guys upbeat on it? Do you think we're...
Actually, we're very upbeat. Our commercial lending guys are, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
We've got 4 on the road that do a lot of business. Our niche is really probably up to like that $5 million type of a loan. So we can service it well. We can maintain it. We can develop it, and then of course that relationship that comes along with it. So I think we're in a real good position and are encouraged the way things seem to be going at the moment.
Yeah, we see we're seeing a turnaround. The numbers are kind of mixed, but you start to get, at least when you go and have a discussion with somebody now, you don't spend the first 15 minutes lamenting how the economy
No, you really don't. It's
people are ready to rock and roll and do some business and things like that.
You know what's interesting? When I came down here earlier, just driving down Bassett Street, the scaffolding that's up in front of the buildings, the development that's going on in Providence, may not be cranes in the sky yet, but looks like they're doing some significant work down here, and all that stuff is great. All that economic.
I've suggested to Stephen Pryor privately a number of times to just go and rent a crane. Just rent one, move it around the city.
Hey, Bay Crane's right across the street from the credit union in Smithfield, so just go see those guys. They'll take good care of you.
And are you seeing any? Is Northern Rhode Island starting to pick up? I mean,
yeah. We've got a right just in our little block there in Smithfield. There's a hotel going up right around the corner.
Because you guys are right near Bryant.
Yeah, we're right.
Yeah.
We like to refer to ourselves as Bryant South because there's a lot of people at the credit union that have Bryant degrees, and we learned that over the course of last week. But it's a whole other story. So, we see a lot of development, even residential development, just housing development.
Yeah.
So beyond business, I look at the town of Cumberland, for example. There's no inventory.
Yeah.
There's no inventory.
Same thing on the east side of Providence.
It's crazy, and there's no land to build.
Right.
So
house around the corner from us went on the market on 800 to 900,000. It was gone by noon.
That's amazing.
Gone by noon at asking price. Gone. I think it was 875. Gone.
Yeah.
They're
fun. So inventory's hot right now. The lending market is picked up. Values have gone up. Consequently, interest rates are starting to creep a little bit.
Yeah.
I think people need to be conscious of how that's shaping up, over the next 12 months.
Is that sparking people? I've read some things that's sparking people to remember, hey, I better refinance now, or I better, whatever I want to do in the real estate market, because if it's starting to creep now, it could creep more a little later, especially if we do get a really take-off economy.
Yeah. I think so. I think it does. There was a time when housing values had remained flat, right? So people squeezed all the equity out of their houses. So a couple of years ago, we kind of saw a flattening out of the home equity market. Now, with the housing values increasing, there's equity back in people's houses. Whether that's good or bad, yet to be seen. But now all of a sudden, people have a little more equity in their homes. And of course, we don't like to encourage people to take all of the equity out of their
Right.
house. I mean, it's important to have the equity in an asset that, even though it may fluctuate a little bit, is consistent for them over time, so.
Last kind of area I want to talk about is you guys are about as involved in the community as any company in Rhode Island. I mean, you're sort of, whether it's big or small, whether it's the stadium theater or a little league team or whatever it is, talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, okay, that starts from the top down.
Yeah.
So again, I talk a lot about our CEO, our leader, who's a tremendous guy, very community-minded. And that is an attitude and a culture that is really throughout the organization from the top down. And everything from our V-Force program, where we pair employees to go out, and there's a lot of organizations that do that as
Yeah.
well, but that's important to us, to go out and participate in those community efforts. But you know what? We wouldn't be where we are today without the cities and towns that we have branches in, right?
Right.
And if we weren't out there helping people enjoy their life's journey, then, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. So we recognize that. That's a responsibility that we have. And it's one that we welcome and we embrace, actually. I love going out in the community. I sit on a couple boards myself. It's great to see things happen.
Yeah.
It's great to see quality of life get better for people. I went and did a food pantry Saturday, which was the first time actually for me. A little embarrassed about that, but it was the first time, and it's a very humbling experience.
Oh, yeah.
And you realize that, when the credit union donates money to those organizations, this is the good work that gets
Yeah.
done. So it's really, it's important to us as an organization, and it's cultural.
Yeah. And that's every city in town that you guys are touching.
Yeah, and even beyond that, I mean, we've done work in Blackstone, Mass. Even
Yeah.
though we don't have a branch there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of statewide initiatives that we participate in. We think, even though it may be a statewide initiative, it impacts everybody. Ronald
Yeah.
McDonald House is a
Right.
perfect example. Their big capital campaign. That's something that we didn't realize. There were 1,100 families since that Ronald McDonald House in Providence opened up that were impacted, from the Ronald McDonald House in Hasbro Children's Hospital. So our participation in that statewide organization actually had a local impact. So, it's important.
Well, and the consumer, if you've got a great rate on a mortgage, I'm coming to visit you guys
Yeah.
over somebody else. So, that the state gets smaller and smaller all the time. So
It's an exercise in trying to create top of mind awareness, so that when people are ready to make decisions and change their relationship, which
Right.
they oftentimes are,
yeah,
that they're going to think, well, who is it that I can go to? Oh, at Navigant place.
Yeah.
So I'm at the Little League field. They provided pizzas to the team one day. Who knows what that reason might be, but it's to try and make sure that Navigant Credit Union is in somebody's head at that time.
really appreciate it.
Well, this has been great. It's fun.
Yeah.
Little camera right there. That's
A little
kinda cool.
camera, yeah, we got it all going on.
Did it go on?
We got
Thanks for the
the-
sign.
Yeah, we got
That's
signs
awesome.
everywhere. We got you name it. I mean, you guys are.
I expect to see I Love Lucy pop up on that television at some point in time, too.
We're gonna black and white this segment and then
Yep.
run it on a loop
Excellent.
over there. Yeah,
Excellent. That's
so
fantastic.
no, we really appreciate the support. I mean, I just got a hit from actually a woman that I went to college with who helped set up the Wall Street Journal's website.
Okay.
And she's now at a major publishing group, and she's like, I want to know everything about Go Local Live. So I have a call with her later this week. We are at the cutting edge, and it's wildly exciting. I mean, Kate had the URI commencement speaker Skype in. We've had
Oh, that's great.
majors from the U.S. Army in Kuwait the day after the Syrian bombing. We're really trying to connect people on a real-time basis.
This is it. This is the future
Yeah.
to some degree. I'm not saying that we're eliminating traditional,
Yeah.
but young people, from everything I've seen and everything I read, says that they want it now, fast, on the go, and they don't have time to sit in front of the television and watch it.
No.
So they want to get it as they're walking down Weybosset Street and
Right.
listening to what's going on.
So it's very exciting, and we're working very hard at getting it better and more innovative and connecting to more people. So I want to thank you for all the support and belief, and
It's our pleasure.
and appreciate it.
We'll try and show up every month and pester you. How's that?
That'd be great. Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Josh.
Jim.
See
Thanks
you
so
later.
much.
Good to see you.